Okay. So, welcome to the podcast that
Glad
will be called Dansby Family Wellness Podcast.
beautiful.
So, Liesle here is my first client as a health coach. I've coached more people before with a personal trainer, but she was my very first health coaching client. She started right at my 6 month certification mark, and we went every bit of a year there,
Yeah.
and she had great results, and
Hmm.
she has continued to update me with her progress, which has been phenomenal. When I
Excellent. Yeah.
first met her, it was way different, but I'm excited, and we got to get used to this Skype lag because it's different. But I see everybody dealing with that, so it's all good. Um, so I want to really start by saying, like, I met you, and you had Lyme disease pretty. You were like battling it, almost beat it, but we were right in the end of your like sickness, and I see that you're over it now. You look great. I mean,
Oh,
warm, vibrant, beautiful.
thank you.
So last I heard, you were in remission from it, and you've lost over 100 pounds, right?
Something like that. Give or take. Give or take. I don't step on the scale as much as I used to.
Well, that's good because I mean it's not all about the number on the scale.
Right.
So, but I saw you progress through that, and I saw a change in your glow throughout our time together, and I was really impressed by you as a parent with 6 children,
Oh,
and you are yeah that really encouraged me and strengthened me, and you did some parenting for me that was really amazing because I was in the process of knowing I'm going to have another child, and we were doing a home birth, and nobody knows that, and it's one of those things that I'm confident about it, but my wife don't want to hear people's mouth about it, and that's what that's like. But when you said all I need is my body and time, I can have a baby, that really encouraged me a lot.
I'm glad.
So what I want to really that I had to share that was important to me. But what I really want to ask you is about your childhood health whenever you were, a daughter, and the the reason I've started with you is because I'm a father, you're a mother. It gives a balanced perspective of family wellness, which
Mhm.
I'm going to talk about my wife a little bit. You're going to talk about your husband and the effects that comes into play. But tell me about your childhood health and wellness, and then how it progressed into parenthood and how it is now as a parent with children and their health, and just part of building an immune system and building a healthy child.
Interesting. I love this. I love this. Sure, I'll talk about that. Well, now I love it. It's going to make me think for a minute. I was raised in my younger years was in the 80s. So calories were a big deal. Fat-free things were a big deal. Diets were a big deal. I didn't know one mom who wasn't on a diet. Everybody I knew, if you were a good mom, the whole house was on a diet. And so there was a very twisted, perverse way of approaching food. And the reason I bring up food is because um as I look back at an adult, as I'm an adult raising children, I see now how strongly I feel about emotions linking to food. How I want my children to be free from this. How I want my children to be able to just have an emotion, honor it, eat the food they need to eat, and honor that, and not need to make them intertwined in an unhealthy way. So if there was fear or unhappiness or unworthiness or shame, then the diet was very easy to play right into that. Somehow they worked together, even without anyone
Yeah.
meaning for it to work together. And all it took was an 8-year-old needing to lose 5 pounds before she was put on a diet too. so
Wow.
so diets were a big part of care in my bullying care in my lifestyle when I was a kid. So self care was just more like a bullying. And so when a health problem arose, that could have very easily been fixed with an emotional intelligence or an acceptance in the moment, um, those opportunities weren't taken. Instead, it was just cut some calories, lose more weight, take a pill, take a medicine, and then and then towards the end of my younger years, it was just like, well, Liesle's a little bit sickly. She gets headaches. She has allergies. She can't move. She can't run. We don't know what's wrong with her. She's an indoor girl, et cetera, et cetera. Labels, labels, labels. And in the end,
Labels, yeah.
and in the end, was it any of those things, or was it just an undernourished, in, emotionally intelligent person who had no space held for her to express herself intelligently and
Yeah.
emotionally? That's what it comes down to. Did I know that? Maybe not. Did I understand it once I became a mom and I realized how sacred a space is for my children to have, for me to hold a space for them to be emotionally intelligent of their own accord? Yeah, like this is where I'm able to kind of do a lot of healing. So I'm reparenting myself, holding
Yeah.
space for my own self, and then allowing them that. So that's good. Less emotional eating nowadays, thanks be to God. So
Yeah. And that's amazing that you reparented yourself. And, I've had to do that because I
sure.
understand how it's kind of hard to struggle with children and also as a child that we all weren't parented perfectly.
Yeah.
But now that, we learn on the flip side, and it's like when you teach something to somebody, then you learn it better than, they do. And
Sure.
that's really amazing.
Well, and
You definitely did some parenting into my life.
oh my goodness, well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that everything is working out so well. And here's the thing: are we just going to continue to need to be parenting ourselves forever? Maybe. And
Yeah.
are my children gonna need to recover from some things that they picked up from me when I am raising them? That's possible. And so with an honoring that being able to know that I'm putting into a habit for them to honor their their ups, their downs, their intelligence, their gut, or their instincts. Still, I'm confident they can get through it better, and they can say, okay, that's how my mom did, and I think this is going to work for me right now. This is going to work for my wife and me. This is going to work
Yeah.
for my husband and me. Whatever, they'll be able to say, hey, listen, I want to try something new because I'm growing. I'm different. My kid is
Yeah.
different. You know, that's the good news there. I think is that there's a system of healing. It doesn't have to be that Liesl is the most healing mom ever. It can be Liesl just speaks life over her children, and then the abundance can carry itself throughout the generations.
Yep. That's good. Am I lagging on you? Because it's
Um,
lagging on my end, and I want to
is
make sure it's a good video for you.
Well, it's a little laggy, but I can't tell. I'm just doing answers as fast as I can, but I wonder if it's not working for you. Hang on.
No, it works for me. I just feel like I'm robotic. Just want to make sure. I hate to interrupt, but I don't want you to hate it because that's important. Did you cut me off?
Nope. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What I
And
did was
I
I
should be
switched
able
off.
to go ahead.
Yeah, I switched off of Wi-Fi so that I could get hopefully a cleaner connection. Is it
Okay.
working?
Is
Do you
that
feel like it's
okay? Or is it?
yeah?
Yeah, it
Do you
is. Is
feel
that
like
going to mess your data plan? Or
no, no? I have
okay.
no idea.
I love it. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner.
Okay, there we go. This happens sometimes where if I'm sharing Wi-Fi with like a bunch of other munchkins, that's all right.
I got you. I'm
They're
same
they're
situation. I
watching.
had to text my wife and say, cut off the TV.
Oh, they're watching Shaun the Sheep, so that's gonna happen.
Oh,
And we're gonna be not on Wi-Fi, no problem. I wish I'd turned it off earlier. So do you feel like we can
that's
speak
okay.
quicker? Do you feel like there's less of a lag now?
I do. I feel like it's quicker to me.
Good. That's fantastic news. So you just let me know. Should we redo what we did before, or is it good enough?
I think we're going roll with it, and if not, we just show people how to, solve problems and be a parent, and you know,
Yeah.
keep the kids happy with some TV sometimes because we were parented with TV. Go watch the TV and leave me alone. No, I'm
Oh
not
my,
saying that we
so
parent
true.
like that,
I
but
I wish my
it
parents had
it
done that.
helps.
I was like, your parents are so cool. You can watch cartoons. I get it.
Yeah, I
Get
I
it.
had to go play in the road as a joke, but
I, no,
don't
I
hit
get
don't
it. I get it.
don't get hit by cars.
Some of my friends were locked out of their house so that their mom could just sort of like drink tab and smoke cigarettes and just relax for a minute.
Yeah,
I'll call you in for dinner. Goodbye.
yeah. I'm with you though. I feel it, and you just have a little faith and let God take the wheel there for a minute. I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
there are moments where we got two hands and there's too many of them, and you just say, God, hey, can you help me out here? Because I'm in a bind.
I've been saying that since I was holding my first child, 5 months old. I think he was breastfeeding, and I was throwing up in a sink, pregnant with the second one. And I was like, okay, God, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do my thing, and you're gonna do yours. And I need all the angels right this fucking second. Sorry, I'm just like, do it now. And
Yeah.
I never stopped. I never
Yes.
stopped, like because jungle gyms and car seats and shopping carts. I mean, I've had kids that like wanted to like wiggle out of the little like the restraints in your shopping cart. They can wiggle. They're really, I mean,
Yeah.
they can get out of anything. And I just keep like, all my hands are on them all the time. And I said, at the end of the day, Lord, please just fill in those gaps. And he always honored me for sure,
Yep.
Yeah.
Which
So
I think that's part of, being a parent and showing like, we have so much of a responsibility, but God's will keep reminding you like, hey, I still got the kid more than you do. You can't
I,
do more than me. And
I'm
it,
still, I'm still God's child. He's still looking after me.
yeah,
He's like, well, I'm not going to spare
hmm
your own angel. You need one too.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah. My daughter stood up in the cart the other day at 10 months old in the grocery store, and I'm like, oh God, please don't. But that was it, just God, because I couldn't get to
Yeah.
her in time.
Yeah. I can't believe she's 10 months already. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, actually 11 now.
No. How is that
Yeah, we're
happening?
we're planning a birthday party, and she's been like she stood up at right at the end of 6 months. She took her first couple steps at 7 months, and then it's been just 8 months. She's been confidently walking. She's running now, and I'm like, "You're too small. You're killing me."
Oh my
But it's a
goodness.
great blessing.
There's no stopping her now. Word.
No, whew. But it's dad, 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 but no mama. It's like, nah, I'm gonna mess with mama. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. That's
Oh,
the
that's so
best part
funny.
of it, though.
Yep, yep, yep. That's awesome.
So we'll get back into the content of the what we're talking about. I really wanted your insight. I had to interview you because, knowing that people die from Lyme disease every day. I know I've told you that for a long time, but people
Yes.
really need the gravity of that, and it's
Yes.
really important to see somebody, a woman, especially a woman, because to me the woman is the health of the family. Her health is everybody's health. If she's eating good, dad's eating good. If she's eating bad, dad's gonna eat what she eats, and the kids are gonna follow suit. And that, not saying that you or I eat bad, but that's just what happens sometimes. It's just the way life is, and we want to make mama happy, and mama wants to make us happy. But really, I had to bring you in on this podcast and really get your insight and get the wealth of knowledge and experience that you have with 6 children. And, I really want to know how your husband affects the dynamic with health and by his example. And
Yes.
because I know last time we talked, he'd lost a good bit of weight and he was
Mhm.
eating better, moving more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So okay, let's begin with my husband because he's my favorite and everything begins with him. In my life and in my heart, everything begins with him. So it's true. So he decided he found out that just from stress, it looks like he had a little bit of a high sugar. It concerned him greatly, and
Yeah.
he didn't feel that any extra stress was warranted. So he went on the medicine and he didn't like it and he wanted to get off, and it took some years. He's now off of it. He doesn't need it anymore. It took maybe 4 years of him kept dwindling down and doing, just letting his body heal all he needed to. And he's such an example. But here's the thing: is it practically an example that he gives? Yes. But I'll tell you something, Tommy. Um, so we know that the womb carries the basket of all of the life. We understand that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm just being honest with you guys. Like being honest with you, I said you guys. But the person who carries the woman is her husband. End of story. So really, my health really does come from him. I mean, when I experience all of the unconditional, beyond belief love, the unconditional love from him, there was a shift. There was a shift with me. I had quite a bit of worth issues. When I found out I was sick a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, it was kind of a relief because I thought I was just stupid, lazy, fat, sugar addicted. Like, I mean, all the names. I was like, why am I even hired? I should quit. Why am I being hired to do this? I'm not qualified to be a mom. I'm not qualified for any of this. My resume sucks. I'm not good at this. And so I found that I wasn't well health wise, but I wish that I could tell you that it repaired the worthiness issues that I had. It did not. My husband, seeing me at my lowest and loving me all the more, this really, he really loved this new part of me into an existence. So I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful for that. He could have said anything. He could have said, well, just take some medicine, you'll be fine, or I believe in you, just go to the gym, you'll feel better, take an antidepressant. None of that. He didn't say any of that. He just said, I love you, you're doing a good job. That's all. Like, that's you're doing fine and you're enough. And so I can't stress enough that when it comes to health, I almost have reservations, Tommy, speaking about the things that I did, because the step zero is always the mindset and the soil of the heart. How does the soil need to be amended so that health can actually grow, so that a change that's positive can actually grow. um, yes, I was able to change frequencies. Yes, I was able to figure out what eating plan worked best for me. Yes, I found out which essential oils can kind of knock out that lyme. But I remember you telling me one of the
Hmm.
first things you ever told me before we were really ever acquainted. You said love is actually food. People can live. People can live on that. You can live on that energy for your whole life. And I was like, I like that. Like you're just saying that like it's like an idea of that. That's not like I really was like, okay, that's cool, but that's not real. And you were like, but it is real. And I was like, yeah, it's real in the sense that it's like not real. And you were like, but it is real.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
real.
with you.
It's not
I
crazy.
totally have lived on love.
That's it. And I do understand that now. So receiving this love from my husband, which maybe many other people understand how to do. But honestly, love is not supposed to be understood today and then that's all we get. We're all supposed to be challenged in it through our whole lives anyway. So I was all right to take that next step. I was all right to be like, I'm at my lowest. I can't keep things clean. I fall asleep homeschooling my children. I don't remember things. I have rescheduled our dental appointment so many years now because I keep forgetting to go, but they won't let me back. I mean, it was a real humiliating time because I was um, sad, ugly, disorganized, sloppy, flies in the sink, kind of humble, sick, weird time. And so when the love came and I started to gain nourishment from that. So many other beautiful dominoes were hit one by one, eat slowly, softly, quickly, whatever the pace was needed, one by one. And I didn't need as much sleep. And maybe I didn't crave sugar that day, or maybe I didn't have Lyme rage like usual, or a Lyme headache like I would, or my liver stopped hurting, my kidneys stopped hurting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this all these little things. I mean, there's a million symptoms. So yeah, do I set the pace for the whole house? Absolutely. My children feel it when I am exuberant. They are exuberant, and when I am living an exuberant
Yeah.
they step into it. They're all right. The invitation is there. The invitation is there for them to step into it. But how does mom get it? That's why I wanted to mention my husband. It's just because his example was good, but had it not been for his love, then, or his unconditional acceptance, I might be like, well, now I'm just more ashamed because I'm round and you're straight and I want to be straight. And then I'm just going to bully myself like I remember doing when I was a kid, just bullying myself to be straighter. And, my body was just trying to protect itself to stay alive one more day. It wasn't going to have it. It wasn't going to play that game anymore. It was going to do whatever it
Yeah.
felt like doing in order to stay alive, stay safe.
I
So,
got you. That makes sense. Yeah, but I really, what I noticed and I learned from you from going through all that and watching you is like that is good that you corrected me just for the example, but also where you got your nourishment from when food was your enemy in a way, and that's really hard. Like that's amazing that you tapped into that, and it's a connection. It's a spiritual nourishment that we get, and that seems kind of like you first reacted woo woo, but man, once you
no,
do it and you feel that connection, you open up in a different way.
absolutely. That is so true. And it didn't feel, I'm so glad that you said it. I was just hoping that it was something more concrete. I was hoping you were going to say something like, don't worry about yourself. Liesl doesn't matter. Cut out gluten. That's all that's necessary. That's what Miley Cyrus did.
Yeah.
Like, great, let's just do that.
Hmm.
And you're like, you don't order off a menu like that. Liesl needs time. Liesl needs what she needs. And how often would I say, Liesl doesn't get what she needs? There's no time for any of that. Liesl needs to produce results. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I'm totally
making
with
sure
you.
that,
I know you're very logical, left-brained, and we talk about that a lot. And many times we need to balance our brain out with the other side. Like I struggled with that in the beginning because when I was real sick with IBS and mold toxicity, that I wanted to know, well, like, why is it? Give me the data. Give me the data. And no medical doctor would. He's like, oh, I don't know. It's I
right,
can give you this diflucan and you'll be fine. Looks like you need to take diflucan. You looks like you got a little fungal thing, but they don't know what's going on. So
right.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on someone entertaining the left brain, for instance, or one side of the brain over the other, to help them sustain a trauma of some kind? Let's say that my adrenaline burnout mode is to be more logical and sort of deaden the other side. Maybe the other side leads to pain. Maybe the other side leads to patience, and I didn't want to take the time to get through it all. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a thing?
So you're asking. Let me break down the question so I understand it because
Okay.
sometimes I'm dyslexic. So you're asking me like, what is the way to activate the other part of the brain whenever you're in a crisis so
Um,
that
I,
you can heal from it, or
I'm saying true or false, because you just, I remember you making this observation with me. You're a very left brain person. And honestly, that's not something that I'd ever been told before. And it made me wonder to myself, Liesl, true or false, you are a left brained person because you're in crisis mode and you're not interested in entertaining your right side. So as you heal, the invitation to be more balanced will come around. You'll have a chance to step into more of your right brain. And you saying to your doctor, I want answers, I want answers. It just makes me wonder if it was more like coming from a place of panic or trauma or
yes.
illness in the head, saying, stress, just the stress response of it. Like, give me the answers. I have no time for the emotion of it or the ups and downs or the patience of it.
So my best answer to you is yes, you are more left brain logical whenever you are in a in a sympathetic state, and you're trying to get into parasympathetic state, meaning, and your body is screaming at you like, I want to survive. It's very hard to calm yourself down, relax enough to get into the more right brain parts of that,
Yeah.
healing, but processing trauma or dealing with trauma because your body won't allow you to relax enough to integrate your brain fully. It's on high alert and it's going, how do I fix this? I got to fix this now. And whenever you got someone asking you to tap into something that, I mean, you'd been sick with Lyme, from my understanding, for quite some time before
Yes.
I started talking to you and got to know you.
Yes.
So you've been in that adrenal fatigue. You've been in that, and they say that it's a myth, but it's just that you're run down, wore out, and your body is just produced at max capacity for a long time to survive. And you
Yes.
did survive well. And now when I talk to you, when I talked to you about a month ago, and I mean, you can just tell your emotions are clean. And I say clean, meaning that they're not all over the place, and you're not frustrated. You can see it on your face that you're much calmer, but you're more happy. You have a different glow about you, and that has obviously been progressive. So, I mean, Lyme disease don't happen like overnight, instant explosion. When it does,
Mhm.
it usually destroys you or kills you. And I mean, that has happened, and even the progression of it, but it takes time.
That's a really, really great way of looking at it. And thank you for saying that. That's very kind. Um, I'm enjoying the process now, which is something that was detestable to me. I
Yeah.
remember, you know, if you need to transplant me to the end, please, because what is that phrase from Talladega Nights? If you're not first, you're last. That's how I felt. I was
Yeah.
like, if I'm at step two, I'm basically nowhere. And you were like, no,
Yeah.
you're at step two. And I'm like, out of a million, please, I'd rather be dead. Like, which is of course
Yeah.
unrealistic.
I
That's so funny.
understand.
Realistic. So yes, 18. 18 is when I suddenly started having weird symptoms. They thought it was cancer or hepatitis. It was quite strange. And then, it was discovered, oh, okay, it's Epstein Barre. But Lyme and Epstein Barre, they hold hands. They did not test me for Lyme. And I had all
Yeah.
of those markers, and it's settled in real nicely, and it's been in my in my system for a long, long time. Um, and so it's okay. It does feel fantastic to live without like I felt like there was a dark blanket over my head. I remember saying I would really like to be acquainted with Liesle. Where did she go? I can't, like, there's a very little authenticity that's felt when you're ill. I wish that would be
Yeah.
spoken of more. Women, I imagine, when
Me too.
when they suffer in the house, let's say, or in their family, in their domestic church, when they suffer, what they're really saying is possibly not, I'm not enough, I'm too fat, my worth is weird, I don't want, one lady said, I don't even want my husband to touch me because I don't like how squishy I feel, things of this nature. Those might all be symptoms, but I wonder if what she's really saying is, I don't feel like myself and I want to know where she went. That's a problem to me. It deeply
Yeah.
disturbs me that there's a and did I understand that there was an illness present? Listen, my gut told me that, but nothing else in my life told me that. So sometimes it was just wishful thinking. Wouldn't it be nice if there was something
Yeah.
wrong with me, fix it, and I was better? So it does feel really good to have a reacquaintance now. It feels fantastic.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm blown away by, people. The Lyme disease and the Lyme community is just, it's amazing because they're tough and durable people that have just gutted it out through some terrible testing or lack of testing, and the symptoms are such a way different. You got doctors telling you, "Oh, you don't have Lyme," or you're just it's all in your head, and that drives me nuts because you try to live life. And I never had Lyme disease, but I did have a fungal mold issue that
Yes.
greatly affected my gut. And I know what you're talking about, living with that blanket, because I mean, you wake up and you're like,
Something's
I can
wrong
do it,
and
and you
feel
just
it.
have to,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and you just have to grit it out, and you have one good day a year, and you're like, oh, what is this? And I guess you
Yes.
just savor it, and you don't feel like you can live your life because you're dragging all this weight. And then when you have someone that identify, okay, this is exactly what's wrong with you, because IBS or Epstein Barr is pretty clear, but Epstein Barr, just the symptoms of it alone don't make up the full picture. And then they're like, well, I don't know what else is wrong. All the rest of it is, Yeah.
Listen,
So
listen, that's true because you know what? Epstein Barr and Lyme and a lot of other ones actually, along with mold toxicity, they require things of your body. They take, like, for instance, minerals. They take the vitamin B's, they take the things and then leave
yeah,
you starving. And so when that happens, now there's holes in your health. And when there's holes in your health, parasites are invited in to help create that balance again. And when parasites are, are brought in, then there's sometimes there's other complications. Let's just put it that way. It just becomes a real chasing your
yeah.
tail situation. Sure,
Hmm.
sure. So
And the mold, all fungus and candida are preparing you for death because it's decomposing. That's what it's for. So you have to fight. It's thinking you're dying and it's eating you in a way. But anyways,
wow,
that's some
no,
intense
that's true.
stuff.
So
But
when it comes
yeah,
to health in the house, when it comes to health in the house, I have to say I remember people saying this, and I'm sure you've heard it too. You have nothing if you don't have your health. Up I really am learning new ways to understand that and receive that every year. Every day I understand that better and better, and the health of my children is so paramount here and in the gut, in the body, in the full experience of it.
yeah.
So very, very grateful to just keep learning.
That's awesome. So, how is it with building a business? I know you have a elderberry
Yes.
business, you have essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
How is that factored in, say, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, versus now in your health and how you feel and how it's affected you? Talk a little bit about that because that's a big factor. Because let's preface that with 6 children, homeschooling. Um, how old is your youngest daughter?
Four. Four.
4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your eldest son is
11.
13 or
I think it's 11.
11. Okay. Sorry.
No, no, no. That's fine.
Yeah.
Don't quote
So
me.
yeah, that it's okay. Don't quote me either. But yeah, that so just talk me through because personally, in the most um grateful and complimentary way is I can't hardly manage 2 children. 6 is just like my mind is blown. So I mean, I've even told my wife I want 2 more children, but I don't see how. I can't handle what I got.
You're so funny. So
So
it's interesting. Okay, that's an interesting. Okay, I'm really glad you brought that up, Tommy, because okay, 3 years ago, no way, Jose. Okay. So illness does something. I knew it at the time, but I did not qualify myself as someone who did this. I thought I still gave a lot. Now I know what giving is, and hopefully next year I understand that I can give double, triple, 100 times more. But illness creates somebody who honestly can't give. Like, we think they're being generous, and they are. They smile, they're brave, maybe they put on, a brave face, or they minister to others in their illness. That is true.
yeah,
I painted a picture of what a mother could give based on my ill experience because I knew how hard it was for me to do anything, and I was giving everything. That's one thing. If you have one
mhm,
child, you give everything. If you have 9 children, you give everything. That's it. So there's nothing less about
yeah,
parenting one than there is in parenting 9. You just learn a different technique. When I became well, little by little by little, I stood in wellness. I
yeah,
remember waking up one day and saying, God, put me to work. What do you have for me today? I'd never asked God that before at all. I felt as though it was considered the white martyrdom of today, which it probably is, where you die to your own self in order to love, someone else. That's all right. You die to your own wishes. I wish I could take a whole day off, but we're just going to take a deep breath, splash some water on our face, and go minister to our family. We understand this. I remember
yeah,
thinking, though, all those years, the pound of flesh has been taken out of my body before I even wake up in the morning. Someone has already taken from me. The illness is already taken from me. My duties, my obligations, I'm already behind. So I just was faithful. As Mother Teresa would say, God is not asking me to be successful. He's asking me to be faithful. So I just said, fine, I'm going to be faithful.
wow,
And then lo and behold, I did ask for the first time, even though, like I said, I thought I had a generous heart all of this time. I would, I spoke with God. I had such a, I was filled with such supplication. I stuck very close to Him. He got me through my days, and yet I said, "Well, what do you need now? I have all the energy I can. I don't even know what I'm going to do with all this health. I feel amazing. I'm smiling so hard when I bust my lip, it keeps splitting open. Tell me what's going on next. What's next? You know, what's next?" And so with that being said, when a girlfriend of mine said, "Oh well, if you ever were thinking of helping anybody, everyone needs elderberry, and it's really hard to come by." And lo and behold, it was. I had to sneak out in the middle of the night. I
Yeah.
felt very degraded. I needed what I needed. I couldn't find it. It wasn't on the shelves. My kid was coughing. I'm like, I don't want to feel fear like this ever again. I want to know that I am empowered in my house. My house is the empowerment house. I don't have fear in my house.
Yeah.
This is my church. So what do I need? And I said, fine, I'll make it myself. And then yes, I started making it for everybody else. What else do I need? My kids, they cough, they have a this, they have a that. They need support for their immune system. Maybe they need support for their constitution, their sense of standing in their truth. Fine. We make sure we
Yeah.
have the oils, and if anybody else needs those, I get those too. And so God provided all these little steps for me, and therein lies all of those miracles. There it is. Therein lies the miracles. And yes, I still do homeschool them. My kiddos are like they're like my Noah's Ark. I feel like my house is like the Noah's Ark, and we
Yeah.
all just sort of cling onto each other and float and float and float through the waves.
That's a good way to look at it because many times I've felt like I'm just floating and paddling.
Yep,
But
that's all
I mean,
right.
you also garden and y'all do soccer practice, and I'm sure you do church and
Yes.
everything. So
And
it's
chickens and
amazing. And chickens. I mean, and a puppy. You still got the puppy?
yes. I forgot about her.
Oh, yeah. That's a seventh child.
And you know what?
No doubt. Yeah.
I do remember when that garden was being laid, it was a gift my mother had given me that she said, "How about we get out and lay the soil?" And I said, "Mom, I can't move." She knew that. I was a sitting mom. I was a sitting mother. You know how sometimes there's a grandma that's the sitting grandma, and sometimes there's the grandma that like takes you to the children's museum, or some, you know what I'm saying, or there's
Yeah.
motorcycle grandmas. Okay. So I feel that way about moms too. Like I was in a season like a sitting mom. And so if the
Yeah.
children wanted me, they'd come find me. I remember coming up with recipes where I would spend 10 minutes in the kitchen at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I made lunch and dinner at the same time. And then, like, it would be soup at 11. We'd eat at 11. And then by 4:30, when it was time for dinner, it had been in the crock pot and it was turned into a dip, and we'd eat it with chips. I had to find ways to do
Wow.
literally nothing. Yeah, I had to find ways to do literally nothing to make my life go. And my mom said, "Well, I'm going to give this to you as a gift. I'm going to make this soil for you." And then one day, after 3 months, um, I was of just intense therapies and things that I needed. I came out and I sat with her, and she started to cry. And she was like, "You came out of the house." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm tired now." She goes, "You should sit down. That's okay." And I sat for a minute, and then like maybe 3 months after that, I got out and I pulled a weed with her, And so
Wow.
little by little, I was able to. But it was overwhelming to even imagine that I'd be the sort of person that would go out into the yard. And so for that, I guess if I could impart anything to anybody listening to this podcast, I would say it's okay. How about this? If you don't mind me just throwing this out there into the ether, anything that your heart desires or anything that's further down along the path, just allow yourself to relish in it no matter what. Because it really does just take one step at a time, doesn't it? I mean, the days are
Yeah.
long and the years are short. Isn't that how it goes? It really doesn't take more than just a little persistence, and gentleness. And now, yeah, and
Yeah.
now I just go and do it myself. And I grew, I don't know, 50 pumpkins.
That's amazing. Yeah. But
Because I
that
like
that
pumpkins.
people really need to hear that.
Oh,
Yeah. My wife loves pumpkins. I'm gonna have pumpkins everywhere for this party. I'm be pumpkined out, but I can't complain about them.
no, no. And they make the Cinderella ones. They're so cute. The Cinderella pumpkins, the
Yeah,
ones
they
like
do.
blue and
Yeah.
stuff. Pretty. So
Uh-huh.
pretty. So yeah, I mean, and then once that happens, how about it? Then you're happy. Your heart's happy because you had some expression, and so you try something else, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And yeah, so probably the bottom line, if I had it, you didn't ask for a bottom line, Tommy, but if I'm thinking to myself what a bottom line might be for me, looking back and looking forward, to be honest, because I have a lot of work left to do. I'm a work in progress. Knowing that I can live in a world or a lifetime where no matter what, I am a tree planted by the water, and God will water me. It doesn't matter if there is.
Wow.
It doesn't matter if there is. What am I trying to say? Desolation. It doesn't matter if there's fasting that's required.
Mm-hmm.
I can live unafraid. I can. I fasted for 44 days one time, like dry fasting. I dry fasted for 44 days, on and off. Sometimes I drank water, but I tried everything to make my body eat the lime. Does that make sense? Like I
Yeah.
wanted. I'm not officially recommending anybody do that without like physician's assistance. I'm just saying I understand what it feels like to do something fearlessly and go into a season of desolation or a season of dryness or a season that feels uncertain or to just be sick and not know what's going to happen. No matter what, I understand now that the hinge pin can be the perspective that I am still a tree planted by the water, and so I can go through all of the seasons. I can go through everything, and always know that it's for my good. Just keep going bravely, one day at a time. That'll be okay. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. Um,
It makes perfect sense, and that will help a lot of people. It helps me. Yeah, so that I know that there are a lot of people though that know someone dealing with Lyme, or it's becoming more and more, clear. But everybody needs to hear that, even if they're just struggling to lose,
yes,
20, 30 pounds, five
yes,
pounds. But I mean, we can apply that, and it translates into life in so many ways. But it seems like when we see people that go through something way harder than we're going through, it makes ours more it makes it feel more attainable, and it makes it feel
yes,
doable, because the intensity of the sickness was way more than what I'm dealing with. And someone with Lyme may find this, and they may say she's a mother of six, she fought from 18 a long time, and she beat it, and she never gave up, and she never quit, and she did whatever it took to do that while raising a family. She still lived her life, because that is the most
yes.
critical thing, is
I
you
still
lived your life.
That's right. I still had to wake up and say I have something to give, even if I felt it had already
Yeah,
been
yeah.
given. And I will say this too, an example of what I mean when I say I'm a tree planted by the water is that the last 6 years I have experienced, I've lived in abundance, an abundance of solitude because my husband travels quite a bit. He's gone
Yeah.
most of the year. And when I say most of the year,
Mhm.
like the entire year. I see him maybe twice, 2 weeks a year. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because there is still a huge amount of there's still a harvest that can be gleaned. There's still a harvest that can come from this. There's still an abundance that can come from this. I can still live in a state of abundance. I can still be a tree planted by the water. I don't have to be a tree that is always just saying, well, if my husband are around where things would be different and I'd be better and I'd have what I need. Nope. Nope. I have what I need. Keep doing. Keep doing. And then when he comes home, I will do then too, because that comes with its own issue. I mean, that's just it. We change the dynamic. Um,
Yeah.
you're right. It is nice to hear. Oh, okay, well, she had chronic illness. She was sick for a long time. It got into her brain. Things started to shut down. I mean, like my body started to go numb and like went paralyzed on one side. And my doctor was like, I don't know how you drove yourself here.
Yeah.
With one hand on the wheel. I don't know. And so,
Yeah. The numb hand was off.
I guess. But you know what? The reason I say that it is kind of helpful to hear such a almost absurdly extreme situation is because how many beautiful families are under extreme circumstances right now, circumstances that they didn't believe they would be in right now. It does bear necessity to say, folks, you're still planted by the water as well. You didn't think that you'd be keeping your
Yeah.
kids home from school. You thought maybe you wouldn't be working from home. You didn't think your hours would be different. You didn't think, you'd be switching this around and switching that around, and maybe your plans got canceled. Very tragic thing,
Yeah.
to be sure. I cannot discredit any of those pains, except for to say that it is all right, and it can be for our good. It really can. It can be part of the it can be part of a love story. It can be part of a love story, no
Yeah. Yeah.
problem.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate this, and that I love how that just opens up and flows in a way, and you make room for God in that situation. You let Him speak to people through you, and you're a great vessel. And uh, I love to see whenever we start. And I ask you a couple of questions, and then it just you and God kind of take over, and that was always amazing with coaching you because it's a very spiritual experience. So yeah, that a lot of people need that. They need to hear that and feel that because they're too conditioned by the world to not be able to rely on the spiritual love and nourishment from God and from our spiritual interaction between each other, spouses, and things of that nature. Oh, I
Oh,
see a little angel back there.
yeah,
I
she's
see
so
her.
sweet. They found something, a little light that they feel would be beneficial for me on this. You're taking care of me, guys. I really appreciate it. You know what? And I have to say, Tommy, because you held space. Thank you. Okay, because you held space for the spiritual uh experience during our coaching, I I wanted to stick with it. I wanted to stick with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
set a place at the table. You set a place at the table and said, "Let's just see what God, you know, is going to say at this dinner table today. Let's see how it goes." And I can I can get on board with that because that's like it's anyways. So I'm very grateful that you even had me on. I really appreciate chit chatting with you, and I hope that if anything ever does crop up, little nuggets and caveats of things in the future that affect family wellness, I'll chat with you anytime about those things, new things.
that's great. I would love to do that, and we can get into deeper topics in certain ways. I would love to have you back on, and we can dig in and dive into some things that are more specific. But I had to share your story and your
Oh my,
accomplishments and your example because it's a great, beautiful story that everybody needs to hear. And like you said, especially right now, because there are people dying from COVID and they're dying from other like depression and
yes,
you know, suicide. And I hate that, but like you
yes,
said, we don't talk about mental health enough, and this is part of it because I
yes,
really believe that we need to make it. We need to get it out of our head, and we need to speak it out and work it out and write it out, and be able to be responsible and respectful in a way that we can talk and share with people so that they will talk to somebody, maybe not on a video live so the world can see, but maybe they'll
sure,
go to their friend or their pastor or their neighbor or their brother or sister or whoever and just share what's going on and that may be received well because that, I believe, can heal the world. And,
yes,
we're in a severe mental crisis and I believe we should share it. And we need to see it from somebody that we can relate to because in a way I can relate to you a little bit on the sickness and the way the feelings. And if I was somebody that had never been sick and never had a great healthy life the whole time, I don't think we would have clicked. I don't think we would have worked out. I don't think we'd even done coaching or anything because
sure.
we would have been on opposite ends of the spectrum and we couldn't find any common ground and we couldn't relate. And I can't talk to you from experience. So since I can, and, I see that it's hard in the beginning, like you said, to see it all. But I mean, now if you're looking back, it really wasn't that long. So
No, no, no. Miracles happen in such a short period of time. And Tommy, you speak truth because the future of the entire world of mankind itself is in the hands of the four walls of the home. That's it. It doesn't get more complicated than that, like or simple. It doesn't get more complicated or simpler than that. What we do in our homes is mapping
yeah,
out the world as we know it. And I
yeah,
think we want to make it more complicated than that, but it is that important. It is that essential. It's that important. It's that relevant. And so, I can't speak highly enough about this podcast, given that you're touching on the wellness of family, which you've mentioned before is really a sometimes people don't want to touch that, or they want to touch that subject with kid gloves. So
Yeah, they
anyway.
do. Yeah, and I want to touch on it, and I want to get into the dirty parts of parenting, and not the bad parts of parenting, but the dirty parts. And did I lose you? Please tell me I didn't lose you. Well, okay. Well, I want to say I'm glad that you came on, and I really appreciate it. I got you back. So
Yeah.
I had to see you froze on me, but I mean, I want to
Aw.
get into some parenting 6 kids at some point in the future, and I want to listen to that, and because nobody wants to talk about parenting. And I mean, you touched on it some, and people are gonna, in their mind, they'll listen to this or question it, like, have I, listened to my child? Have I just, threw something at them and roll? Like, there's a lot of questions that are gonna pop up in this, and in the future, I'd like to get you back on to talk about parenting 6 kids exactly,
Sure.
because a lot of the kids' health is emotion. Their emotions. My belly hurts, and then they act out. But that's another podcast, a whole another hour. We'll wait on that one, but we can talk forever. I know, but
I think
thank you for coming on.
yeah. My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
thank
You have a great
you.
week.
I'll
We'll
talk to you soon.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.